Streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and blasttheradio.com, this is The Lowell Green Show. The number to call and be heard around the world is 613-413-2217. Or email Lowell at blasttheradio.com. And now, here is Lowell Green.
As always, anything you wish to discuss, it's wide open. Any topic you would like to raise, anything you think deserves a public airing, folks, this is the place to do it. Not too many places left anywhere in this country where you can do this kind of thing, but you sure as hell can here. While we're at it, what do you think of this Oakville school board that can't make up its mind what to do about a teacher that's very clearly gone goofy? This one-time man who now claims to be a woman is sporting a set of front bumpers that would put Dolly Parton to shame several times. Any sane person would instantly tell this wacko to either smarten up, dress appropriate for the classroom, or take a long hike on a short pier. But no, not in Oakville. Dominated by left-wingers. Oh, well, we've got to, people have to. Now, if a young student shows up with spaghetti straps, that's it, you're out. Finger, you can't wear spaghetti straps. But can you wear a set of breasts that extend out about 7 feet? Yeah, you're a teacher. Yeah, you can. Don't forget, this is all for the students. Okay. That's the only reason the teachers are there is for the students. You got to remember that, okay? So they can't make up their mind what to do because it's all for the student. You know, this if anything was more indicative of how the left has gone completely wacko in this country, this is it. Folks, when a board of any kind, particularly an elected board being paid by the taxpayer, cannot make up its mind what to do about someone who has gone completely wacko and shows up with whatever the hell you want to call it, front bumpers, protrusions. As
prosthetic. It's a prosthetic.
Whatever. You've all seen it. If you can't make up your mind on that, then there's something absolutely wrong. But this is typical of the left wing. Oh, diversity, homophobia, we can't. No. Oh, give me a break. Like, is there no common sense left? And don't answer that question. Common sense left on this program. Just typical left-wing crapola. Left-wing nonsense. On another issue. What the hell are we going to do about Mary Simon? Is there room in our society for this kind of special privilege? I thought we got rid of this kind of special privilege with the Magna Carta. They got rid of this kind of special privilege in France with the guillotine. Don't get me wrong, I'm not suggesting that kind, but I'm just saying that, they got rid of this kind of privilege for a while in Russia with the revolution. There's been a few other revolutions when certain classes of people began to, get special privilege. So they just, the people rose up and tossed them out one way or the other. But not here in Canada. Mary Simon, Governor General. Don't talk to me about white male privilege. Our Governor General is neither male nor white. And I tell you, when you look up the word privilege in Oxford or Webster, you're going to find a picture of Mary freaking Simon. First of all, she gets handed the job of Governor General without any special contributions that I can see to this country. I can think of, off the top of my head, at least 20 people who deserve this kind of recognition, this kind of reward. I don't know, maybe I'm sure she's a very nice person, appears to be a very nice person. But I don't know what happens when some of these people, assume positions of this. They just lose all perspective. It's almost as if they walk, John, through some kind of doorway that's all aglow, and they go through this doorway and, I'm Mary Simon. I didn't know that. I can do anything I want. I've got the taxpayers' dollars to do anything I want. So what does Mary Simon do? She invites, we still can't figure out, some figures say 30 people, other people say 40 people. A shitload of people.
Yes.
Whatever that is. For a nice little jaunt to Dubai. For what? Well, there's something apparently in Dubai called an expo. I mean, women still can't drive cars or leave their homes in Dubai. But Mary Simon and 30 or 40 of her best friends are going to go there anyway and spend all kind of Canadian taxpayers' money with these misogynistic.
Wait. Is this a second trip to Dubai?
No.
This is the previous one. We're still on that.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
$100,000 almost.
Yeah.
For food and flowers. Apparently, they bought a bouquet of flowers for $240. The food wasn't enough. But it doesn't end there, because, as I say, that we can't get a handle on exactly how many people. Some stories say 30, some say 40. So we don't know what the cost of the flights are. And apparently the $100,000 or thereabouts for food does not include booze. So you can imagine what that would be. Doesn't include hotels. My figuring is, well, on food alone, some member of parliament has figured out that on food and flowers alone, you're looking probably close to $300 per person per day for food. I mean, you talk about privilege. Now, most of the emphasis, the comments, the criticism has centered around the cost of the food, legitimately enough. But my figuring is, when you factor in booze, ground transportation in Dubai, I don't know do they have Uber in Dubai? I don't know. All the other, the booze and et cetera, hotel accommodation. In all probability, we're looking at what? Somewhere between $300,000-$500,000.
Sure.
The way they're spending, you can be probably close somewhere between $400,000-$500,000 would be my guess.
Tips, you got a tip.
Tip, don't forget. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's true, John. I hadn't thought of.
It's got to be a piano player in a bar that you got to sing along with. You have to tip that person too.
But so most of the emphasis has been on the cost of the food. Good on that. But to me, an even bigger question is, who the hell are these people she took? What was the reason for this? To mend relationships with Dubai? As far as I know, we're friendly with Dubai. Still buy oil from them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there was any mending of relationships there. Trade? No, she's not going to talk trade. So why would Mary Simon go to Dubai and take 30 or 40 of her best friends and spend all of this kind of money? But it's the idea that the privilege, it's unbelievable. I mean, here it is. The rest of the country is beginning to struggle. We've got lineups now at some of the food banks. We all know the problems with inflation, et cetera, et cetera. Many people are suffering. We've had stories about, mothers having to water down the milk for their children. I've got several other stories that are even worse than that.
Right.
A couple that I know are losing their house. They can't afford to pay the mortgage. They had to renew the mortgage, and they're going to lose their house. They've been in the house for over 30 years. So while all of this is going on, what does Mary Simon and her buddies, her good buddies? Well, they take a little taxpayer jaunt to Dubai. No purpose, no reason, or anything else. Just this is like the privilege. I mean, that these people would be so removed, so oblivious to what's going on in the world, or uncaring about what's going on in the world. In all probability, they're people like Trudeau and Singh. People probably living off their parents' or grandparents' incomes, et cetera, et cetera. I assume that's usually who it is. This is the cocktail party crowd. They know how to hold those little tiny weenies and hold their little fingers up like this while they're drinking. The embassy crowd and so forth. Nice people, but just totally devoid of understanding of what's going on. So, I mean, I support the form of government we got now. It's worked very well, which includes the monarchy. But surely to God, we've got to do something to curb this kind of privilege. First of all, I think we need to review the appointment of the governor general. I don't think that a prime minister, no matter who she is, should be allowed to just pick somebody, their friend, to be to have this kind of privileged position. And it's very, but don't forget that even after you've finished your term as governor general, you still have almost all of those same benefits, huge pension, and all the rest of it. So I think we got to do something about that. And we sure as hell have to do something about all of the money, the privilege that goes into it. It's not just the money. It's the idea we are supposed to have an egalitarian society where we are all equal, or at least given equal opportunity. Very clearly, you and I, John, don't stand a chance. When you get someone like Mary Simon, I mean, could you afford to take 30 or 40 of your friends off on a jaunt to Dubai? No way.
I couldn't afford to take 30 or 40 of my friends to McDonald's.
So somehow we've got to do something. I don't know what thoughts about it. I would hate to see us scrap the monarchy. It would mean a change in our constitution. Seems to me we've got more serious problems to deal with, but we can't have this kind of special privilege. That's not what a democracy is supposed to be about. It's not. It goes beyond just, of course, the governor general, the kind of privilege that we see. If you live in Ottawa here and you see the limousines making the rounds, and there's a whole special privileged class, live like kings and queens in this city, and I'm sure in some other cities, but particularly here, the embassy crowd, etc., etc. Folks, if you've got any ideas what we can do with this, but I tell you this, I am mad as hell at Mary Simon. I don't know who was responsible. Like, did she make the final decision, or did Trudeau make the decision on this? Do we have a situation where the governor general can just take $300,000 or $400,000 of the taxpayers' money and do whatever she wishes with it? I don't know.
Good question.
I don't know. It's maddening. The privilege is maddening, particularly in this day and age. John, any response to this point?
Absolutely. We've got a couple of topics out there. So any of those or whatever you want to talk about, like Lowell said from the get-go. So we're on Facebook, either The Lowell Green, Milkman Show, or Blast the Radio. We're on youtube.com/Blast the Radio and twitch.tv/Blast the Radio. And, of course, on blasttheradio.com. John says politicians, bureaucrats, and figureheads have no respect for how hard people work to pay their taxes.
That is so true. They have no respect for it. So they're just, I use the word oblivious. Mm-hmm. Either they are totally oblivious to what's really going on. They live in this rarefied little bubble, or they do know what's going on and they don't give a damn.
Ignorance. Yep.
Probably works both ways. The kind of, but can you imagine, aside from privilege, just consider the kind of arrogance that would allow Mary Simon or anyone of her ilk to just, on her own volition, take 30, 40 people off on a taxpayer-funded jaunt anywhere. The kind of arrogance. Essentially, what she is saying is, you know what? I'm Mary Simon, and you're not, so screw off. That's essentially what she's saying. Sorry to put it in the vernacular, but that's pretty well what it is. I'm Mary Simon, you're not, so you screw off, little person. Go ahead, John.
Yep, blind to the fact that she represents royalty and is not, in fact, royalty. There is a difference. Let's go to text, 613-413-2217. This person says, what's happening in the Oakville school is a shame. It's common decency to dress professionally on the job. If it's happening in a private sector, person should have been fired by now. Not sure what's provincial government's view on this.
Well, it's a school board issue, and it's the lefties. They can't handle this kind of stuff. Transgendered, yeah. Well, she, he, it, they, whatever, can do pretty well whatever they want. If the left is afraid to touch this, afraid to even mention it. Go ahead, John.
And I wrestle with that. I just came back from a weekend of doing, sound and lights for a drag bingo show where it's men Obvious men dressing as women, taking on a character and performing character role, much like Mrs. Doubtfire. What I'm seeing in Oakville, and look, I've got a ton of friends in the LGBTQ plus 2S community. I celebrate them. I support them at every single turn. This one, I don't get. It's like this person is making a mockery of everything that the LGBTQ plus 2S community has tried to do and tried to achieve.
Absolutely. This is one of my points. This is pure mockery. She's poking fun, or he poking fun at transgender, etc. This is pure mockery, and the board is so stupid they can't see this. Go ahead, John.
Are they scared that it can go down a litigious path that they aren't prepared for?
No, they do. They don't want to be. They don't want to be seen in the community as having some sort of prejudice against this kind of thing. Well, and you've got your transphobia, or whatever the hell the phrase is these days. That's what it is.
Look, I have zero issue with a trans teacher. None whatsoever. What this person is doing, I don't know if they're trans or not, but I mean, prosthetics are not. A trans person transitions medically. And everything is real or natural as it can be, when it's through medicinal means. It's not a prosthetic. A drag queen wears a prosthetic. This person appears to be wearing a wig. The makeup is wrong. It is a complete farce.
It's a mockery. Yeah, go ahead, Pound.
What's going on with this teacher? Asks Michelle. I have not heard anything. Michelle, you need to Google teacher Oakville trans, and everything that you never imagined in the world you'd be reading.
I can't believe, you know what? God bless whoever wrote that, but I can't believe in this day and age, with all the publicity that this has created, that anybody would not be aware. Talk about being oblivious to what's going on. Oh, yeah. Go ahead, John.
Well, everybody gets their news from the internet, right? And it's all based on what, other things that you've searched.
Well, the internet is filled with pictures of this.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, if you're not searching that type of news, it's not likely to show up in your algorithm, is what I'm saying.
Well, you're not reading a newspaper. You're not listening to radio. You're not watching television. You're not on Facebook. You're not on Twitter. You're not, So you could. Hey, listen, this is a free society, but if you're that uninformed about major issues like this.
Well, listen, Michelle is tuned into the Lowell Green Show, and now she has a little homework to do to get caught up. Michelle, you heard it here first. Yeah,
good for you.
David says, my respect went south when Adrian Clarkson and John Ralston Saul, CCONT, as a Canadian writer, political philosopher, and public intellectual, were in the CC office. Elizabeth II was never like this, nor would she ever approve.
Let me tell you about John Ralston Saul. Talk about a pretentious. Well, I better be careful here. I don't want to get sued. I don't want you to get sued. But if you look up the word pretension, in the dictionary, you are bound to see a picture of John Ralston Saul. He came out a number of years ago with a book called On Equilibrium. It was totally unreadable. You couldn't get past the first sentence, let alone the first paragraph, and make any sense.
Really?
But he was a great intellectual. So the CBC fawned all over him, CTV, and Toronto Star, big features, John Ralston Saul. Well, as it turns out, I had a book out at exactly the same time. So there was a lovely bookshop in the Westgate Shopping Center. And so she had my book and John Ralston Saul book for sale side by side. My book and that store, this is, I forget her name. She was a lovely, lovely person, bookstore. My book sold almost 1,000 copies. She sold 3 of his. That's honest to God truth.
Wow.
That's the honest to God's truth. That pretension. It was, but as I say, the intellectual community fawned all over him. Now, I'm sure none of them ever read, this. You couldn't read it, and if you did read it, what the hell was it about? On Equilibrium. Oh, yeah, but go ahead. That's just the kind of bullshit that goes on. Go ahead.
Lots of comments to get to, Lowell. Let's take a time out here, though, and talk about Shields.
I'm going to tell you, no bullshit at Shields, okay?
Segue master right there, kids.
Just the straight goods. This is what you get in the Valley. This is what you get with Shields. Good people, business, same family, same location, same great deals since 1947. If you go to the website, you're going to see. Now, I very seldom mention this, but yes, electronics are now a registered official Sony dealer. Mattresses, furniture, but the main business for Shields is appliances. They really pride themselves. About 90% of anything that you would possibly want is in stock right there, which means can be in your home next 2 or 3 days, maybe a week at the most. The price is very, very reasonable, and yes, they have a finance plan, very good finance plan. Check it out. You know what? All I've ever said, I keep saying this, is just give them a chance. They're good people, local people, good deals, good products. Shields.ca. John, back to you, my boy.
All right, latest comments rolling in. Shields is awesome, says Peter. Thank you, Peter. Lisa H. is on YouTube. Haha, I love it when you swear, lol. There you go. Robert, Lowell will get in trouble with his wife a little later on, but as long as Lisa's happy. Robert says, Trudeau's showing his pure disdain for Canada by not only matching Red Cross donations to the storm victims and going to the useless UN and giving billions.
Yeah, he was down. That's right. He's going to match donations, the Red Cross. But he gave away almost $2 billion on Monday or Tuesday at the United Nations to other nations. Good point. Thank you very much.
Now, your thoughts on him. He was supposed to go to Japan, wasn't it? And he canceled that and did stay home because he wants to look out for or get to the East Coast and see the damage from the hurricane. Your thoughts on that?
It's great photo op for him. This, nothing helps a prime minister, no matter who she or is, than this kind of thing. It gives you a chance to be front and center and to be the good guy. We're going to give you this, we're going to give you that, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, of course he would want to be there. Absolutely.
Here's a text.
And so would any other prime minister. Go ahead.
My apologies. Here's a text at 613-413-2217. This person says, Lowell, I'm happy to see Mark Sutcliffe getting media attention concerning his pledge to make the city's recreation facilities more accessible for kids. Of course, politically correct, they, them, McKinney has something similar, but I'm sure it will cost taxpayers double the amount. The more media from Mark, the better, since the normal Joe listens to the mainstream media and the two front runners are liberals. Let's go to Macaulay E. The Canadian Taxpayers Federation has reported that records show Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's official residence spent more than $12,000 on groceries, dining, a chef, and boutique goods in one single month last year. As Canadians, we're dealing with endless government lockdowns, massive unemployment, and rising costs of goods and services. Trudeau was living a luxurious lifestyle at the Prime Minister's official residence. The numbers are jarring. Hundreds of receipts and invoices released.
Yeah, the only thing I disagree there, I don't think we have a massive unemployment everywhere I go, and we've talked about this. I see help wanted signs everywhere. I just passed a sign the other day, and they're paying bonuses. This is a large furniture manufacturer on Carp Road here. The name escapes me right now. They're paying bonuses for people to come and work for them, any kind of position. Go ahead, John.
Are you talking L'Horizon Kitchens on the way out?
L'Horizon Kitchen,
yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
I've seen that sign. Let's go to email. Lowell, as for governors general in the country, we need to get back to its traditional roots. Elitists have always enjoyed looking down their nose on others. It's Lisa. And we have a comment from Robert regarding the governor general as well. I'm with you, Lowell. Something has to be done with that office. Let's not forget, this is the group that authorized $600,000 to pay for a swearing-in ceremony for the last governor general. They need a shakeup. This is all just too much.
We don't, We're deeper in debt than we've ever been in history. We're struggling out there. The ordinary person is struggling, and we still have these elitists, this special privileged group here, who just everything just passes them by. They just continue to have their cocktail parties and their lovely little, I don't know, trips to Dubai. Go ahead.
Question from Chris. Do you think they are going to drop the fines regarding the ArriveCan app?
I don't understand the question.
Nor do I. All right, moving on. 613-4132. I mean, were you fined if you didn't fill in the ArriveCan app? Is that what we're talking about here?
I don't know, but it's being it's optional, which means that nobody's going to use it. So
if it's optional, you can't fine someone for not filling in.
That's right. So very clearly, there's no fine because there's no requirement to do it. Go ahead.
Agreed. 613-413-2217. This person says, I don't want the teacher to get their 15 minutes of fame. I must rather make sure my family out east is fine and support is getting to them quickly, says Renee.
Good.
Just saw the Oakville teacher and read online. Busted. This is going to open up a new can of worms in Southern Ontario. New meaning for hot for teacher for some, I guess. Haha, says Chrissy. Let's go to the top of the list. These are comments that came in right off the get-go of the show. James says, that is not a trans person. It's a pervert acting out of fetish. The alphabet people should not support this insanity. And I'm sure most do not. I don't, James, not in this case. Joshua says, to quote Nipsey Russell, Dolly Parton had a chest cold. It was a fatal day. She removed her coat to be examined and the doctor passed away. Ha, ha, ha. Peter says, Mary Simon needs to quit too. Spending the amounts of money she is. Let her pay for her own tab when it's costing us taxpayers. Another big shot Trudeau insider, a former member of the Trudeau Foundation that needs to be audited.
You see, that's a very good point. If I were prime minister, first of all, I would make sure that there are spending controls, that the governor general or anybody can't go off and spend that kind of money. But if I came in after this had happened, I would demand an audit. I want to know where the money went. How in the hell can you spend $100,000 on food? And I want to know who authorized. I want to know who authorized and who went and why. What was the purpose? And if I don't find that there was a purpose to it, I'm going to tell Mary Simon, you know what? You owe us $100,000 or $150,000, and I'm going to take it out of your paycheck. That's what I would do. Go ahead, John.
Follow up from Chris. Yes, regarding the ArriveCan app. So Chris says that their family is currently looking at $37,000 in fines. So I guess the question is, if I'm reading into what you're saying there, Chris, will they do away with fines that people had previous to the new?
They're retroactively.
Yeah, thank you. That's what I was looking for.
$37,000. I found that hard to believe. Now there's something askew there. Go ahead.
Chrissy's asking your thoughts on the Red Blacks. He's holding his nose if you're listening online. And I agree. I wasn't even at that game on the weekend. I had to give up my tickets, and I was sorry that I had to, but now I don't know.
I have never seen a football. I mean, I've a great fan of football.
Yep.
Have been since arriving here in 1960. I have never seen such a lack of imagination in a football team on offense. Whoever this La Police is, our coach, I mean, this guy, I would be surprised.
Be an offensive genius. I don't get it.
I mean, there's nothing innovative, nothing. It's the same old, and we have the same old result. That's all I'm going to say about it. It's sad. It's too bad. We have a lot of good people in this city, spend a lot of money supporting this team, rebuilding this team, and they're just driving spectators away again. Why do we do this? This guy, police or whatever, he should have been gone a long time ago. He doesn't know his... Go ahead.
You know what? From my perspective, and I say this as a season ticket holder and a longtime fan of Ottawa football as well. Hell, I worked for the team for a couple of seasons. A lot of people know that. The game, listen, the football is one thing and it stinks. It's terrible. But the game day experience overall has gone really downhill. That said, it's still worth going. It's fun to run into so many people, but it's not what it was. And it is. It's very disappointing because we really supported and wanted it back.
But I mean, okay, you got a team. Maybe some of the players don't quite match some of the others, but at least have some innovation, some exciting plays, something different for God's sake.
Bring back the Gleiberman, says Terry. Hey, Terry, hell no. Hell no. No. You haven't been watching our Rough Riders this year then, says Murray out in Saskatchewan. Well, there's that. That's a good point. Robert says Trudeau must now cave into the fact that his COVID mandates are unwarranted. If whispers are correct that he's personally making millions from Big Pharma for vaccines and test kits, he will lose a vast amount of his
I don't think he's making any. I mean, I don't think Trudeau has to earn money from any place. I mean, he's worth, I'm sure, millions without doing anything. Go ahead.
And that's just it. If anybody can afford a monthly $12,000 grocery bill out of pocket, it's Justin Trudeau. He doesn't need my help on that. All right.
I think we paid that.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
If anybody could afford it out of pocket, it's him.
Yeah.
But he didn't. He charged you and I for it instead.
Oh, yeah.
Text, I agree, Lowell. All these expenses from these dignitaries need to be audited and should go through some sort of approval for spending. All right.
I would do this. I'm going to repeat. I would audit this. And if it's not justified, I would tell Mary Simon, you know what? You authorized this. This is your idea. There was no authorization for this kind of expenditure, so I am billing you, and whatever the appropriate amount is, I'm taking it out of your pay. Oh, the elite crowd would go wacko. Too bad. That's what should happen.
Comment from Liza, or is it Lisa? I apologize, but thank you for your comment on Facebook. The teacher with the large breasts is using the clown system's rules against them. He is a hero. He's fed up with the system and is showing all of us how stupid the school system has become.
Well, there may very well be.
Interesting take.
Whatever it is, there's no way that he should show up, or she should be allowed to show up in class like that. I'm sorry.
What grade is this person teaching? It's high school, isn't it?
I don't know.
So it's at least people who have some sense of how the world works. Anyway,
apparently, a lot of kids have stopped showing up at class.
I don't blame them. Good for them. Valda says this teacher needs to be sent home until she dresses appropriately. The parents need to take their children out of this class. He is a total pervert.
My complaint here is not so much about the person. It's the fact that the school board, paid to look after this kind of thing, can't bring itself to do what it has to do. Just can't do it.
Agreed. A lot of leftover comments, and I will hand things over to you to sign things off for another day, sir.
Back tomorrow. Thank you.
The Lowell Green Show is seen and heard live around the world at 2 p.m. Eastern. Connect with us online at blasttheradio.com/Lowell Green. Can't join us live? Download the Lowell Green podcast. Available on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Ask your smart speaker to play the Lowell Green podcast. This is a production of blasttheradio.com.